So on today's episode of Cerebral Palsy Warrior, I've got a fellow friend of mine called Ben, who I've interviewed before about epilepsy, and we're going to be doing another interview about cerebral palsy. So thank you, Ben, for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me again. It's good to be back.
Yes, it is. So, for people that don't know, can you tell the viewers at home what type of cerebral palsy you have and how it affects you?
I have, since birth, I've got diagnosed with spastic cerebral palsy.
Okay.
Basically, in a nutshell, it means difficulty in movement with like muscle tone and responses with signals will take longer. So if I have to do something, it'll take longer for me to respond to that movement to happen. Mobility point of view, the signal is also delayed again, so you're overthinking a movement before you do it. So you're thinking that you're not safe, but actually you are. Say, just doing a single step, you think you're not safe. That's the signal I get.
So in terms of, like the type of, so did you get any physiotherapy growing up to help you strengthen your muscles?
I was given weekly exercises, which I was doing I was doing them on my own at home. So I was given some, like a little table, sort of like homework table, and I would sit against one of a wall, for example, and put this table over my legs, and I had these gaiters, things you put on your legs that like stretching muscles. So I would wear those as part of physio for a while. I then would have other exercises, which would be just like working on my main leg muscles to stretch them a bit. But I would have help with a physio, a professional would help me with that. Who's on a weekly basis. That would be a physiotherapist that would do that with me.
And so like going to school, so from say primary school to secondary school, did you get any support with your physiotherapy? Like not just in terms of physio, but like in terms of like learning and stuff.
Let's rewind the tapes. Right. I was from normal, just around the normal primary school age, around 5, maybe 6 years old sort of time, all the way through to I hit the end of year 11. I have had support in the classroom, one-to-one, but that was one-to-one. So the teacher would be talking at the front. I'm writing whatever the teacher says, and I can't keep up with what the teacher's saying because they talk so quickly. And I'm like, whoever was there supporting me at the time, I'm like, help, I can't keep up. where did I get to? Sometimes they would, if sometimes the teacher would say something, I've misunderstood it, perhaps, as well. The person supporting me would be able to explain it in another way, so that it would make sense to me.
Okay, so you
As well, like like I'm not necessarily gonna call it a tuition, but it's like simplifying what the teacher is saying so that I can understand it, because my development in learning was slightly delayed.
okay, and
Yeah.
that was due to the cerebral palsy, correct?
It all ties into the diagnosis of cerebral palsy, yes. That
So,
the original reason why I have got cerebral palsy is not the original reason why I thought I was born with it. I thought it was because my mum had been ill or something, caught something that was quite, putting her at risk while she was pregnant with me. Actually, it wasn't. She actually had high blood pressure, and I thought she was on something for malaria tablets or something, sort of for malaria, but it wasn't. But it was actually high blood pressure
oh,
caused her to be ill for whatever reason, and she was pregnant with me at the time. So they said they whipped her off back to a local hospital in London, had me by a cesarean, get him out quick. Look, my mum and dad were actually abroad in somewhere in Kenya at the time when my mum was pregnant with me,
oh,
because my dad was working out there.
okay. So you said you got support when you were in class. Did you get any support while you were outside of class?
So from the classroom to the next classroom, that I would go around with all the normal students or other children. The person supporting me would always say, walk either 2 steps behind or 2 steps ahead,
Okay.
because I was, and I still am, prone to falls, because I can walk, but I'll easily just trip over my own 2 feet.
Yeah, I used to do the same as well.
But the consequences weren't very nice. No.
So in terms
I
of
ended up in A&E. I end up in A&E if I go splat on my face.
so my next question is like, so you've got other brothers, you've got a brother and 2 sisters.
Yeah.
So in terms of your cerebral palsy, did you ever feel like you were treated differently with your family members because you had cerebral palsy?
Well, I was growing up, so my development to walk all the way up to the age of, well, it wasn't it was all delayed up to the age of 4, maybe 5. My first sister, that was, so roughly when I was 2 is when I was starting to walk, when I should have been walking maybe a bit earlier than that. I was getting frustrated up until that point, because my sister came along and she started walking as normal. I was like, why can't I walk like that? So I was using walking frames for a while, until while I was getting my grips with walking. I was also delayed. Well, before that, you have to sit up and crawl. Delayed with that as well. So probably I wasn't. It wasn't until I was about 5, 6, maybe. I was gonna be walking around without any aids. Eventually, I just got rid of them. But I used to fall out with my own 2 legs a lot because I kept calling them silly names like I don't like my silly legs. Why don't they work properly? You know, it's all related to the development stages been delayed.
So
I should really put my thank my sisters really for that because they actually helped me to walk.
that's good of them.
I copied them, whatever they were doing. I just got up one day, my arms out either side, started wobbling a little bit, and then trying to run after them without the walking frames. And I was like, hey, finally, I've managed to do something.
So you're saying that your sister supported you when it came to,
Yeah.
walking and encouraging you to.
Yeah.
So in terms of, did you ever feel like your cerebral palsy held you back from what you wanted to do?
In some cases, yes. I mean, some people with cerebral palsy can grow up and they can be told, yeah, you can go and get yourself a driver's license, you can have your own car. In my case, I've grown up knowing I would like to have a car and drive, but I know that on the medical grounds I can't. And this will be related to the cerebral palsy I have, which affects my eyesight, so I wouldn't be able to drive a car.
Yeah, mine affects my eyesight as well. So yeah.
So obviously driving a car is a no-no for me.
So so your your cerebral palsy, has it ever like so we talked about you going to school, we
Yeah.
talked about your family. Have you ever been picked on or bullied because of your cerebral palsy? And if so,
So
how
as I've growing up, I've noticed probably my mum a bit more, and my dad not so much. Are quite protective. Maybe because of me having cerebral palsy, maybe they're slightly bit more protected of me, but they're still allowing me to get on with whatever I want to do. So I've chosen my job that I wanted to do, but they ended up being voluntary jobs rather than a permanent job.
so your mom and dad protecting you, mainly your mom, has that frustrated you a bit?
It is because the other 3, I've got 2 sisters and another younger brother. They've grown up and left. They let the crow fly, as it were. They left them to it, whereas they're on my back, about thinking, oh, I wonder what's best for Ben. Whatever it might be. Is it better that Ben stays, I don't know, with us? or does he move out and have his own place? Is it better if it's in supported accommodation, or is it better in a standard flat?
So have you ever said, you know what, Mama and Dad, I love you to pieces, but I think I know what's better best for
Yeah,
me.
that did happen, but eventually it paid off. I did get my own place, and I proved them wrong that I can live independently with some support.
Oh, that's good.
It paid off in the end.
So, like, so for anybody, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of more questions. So, have you ever felt like strangers that don't know you? Have you ever felt like they've, you know, bullied you or just misinterpreted? Like,
Um,
have you ever felt like people?
I have actually probably I probably have actually experienced a bit of bullying while I've grown up, and I noticed it. I probably still get it now, but I don't notice it so much because I'm so used to it in surroundings where people are just like, you're walking down the street, someone else going the other way will look from the street on the other side and look at how you walk. Or
Oh, I get that. Even now,
yeah.
even now that I'm up in Scotland, and
Yeah.
it's still the day before me and my partner, because I use a walker, and me and my
Yeah.
partner was walking down the street, and a little boy, he must have been about 7 or 8, just looked at
Oh,
me and like, and I know kids are kind of
yeah.
curious, they're curious and they're inquisitive, but I kind of wish that their mom or their dad or whoever they're with would just be like, I just wish people would just come up and ask instead of staring at me like I'm some
Oh,
kind of.
I've had that for the last, I don't know how many weeks. I've had that for literally all the time. I get looked at. I actually got looked at 2 weeks ago. What was it? What was I doing? I must have been in town. Maybe I was getting in and out of the car in a car park, and then going around the main superstore. People were getting on with their shopping, but they were watching you get in and out your car and walk around the shop.
I mean, I understand that people be like, oh, maybe she needs help, or maybe you need help, but like,
Yeah.
and just ask. Like, I don't know about you, but I find it really rude when people just stare at me. And
Yeah. I find it quite annoying. Rude.
yeah, I find it
I
very
I
annoying.
went to the fish and chip shop about 2 weeks ago. There's a queue. Fair enough. There's always a queue, and so I'm happy just to stand in the queue if I have to because it's there. That's what they ask you to do. What I found quite annoying is that when I went in, I didn't notice this straight away, and I went in and ordered and paid, came back out, waited for my order to come through. There was a family. I think there must have been a family of 5. So there are 3 kids and the parents. I was with somebody else who's working with me at the moment. Well, like a couple of hours a week. We've employed someone else to work with me here. So I didn't notice this, but the kids were looking at me while I was sitting there waiting for my order to be brought out. But the parents didn't do anything, but the person who was with me noticed it straight away, but didn't say anything. But I knew something wasn't quite right somehow. I didn't know where exactly. I knew someone was pondering around the area looking at me about something, but I didn't establish exactly where that person was.
See, now if that was me, I'd be like, Do you want to take a picture? It will last longer. I'll be like, you can take a picture. It will last longer. I don't. I
Yeah, but
don't. I don't
we
understand.
need we need to get the kids' parents educated here, not necessarily the children, it's the adults.
Well, yeah, but we need to get both of them
Both,
educated.
maybe, even both, maybe.
It really, really irritates me. It gets me, because not even like in London, I remember the first time me and my partner
Yeah,
went out on a date in London and we went to the gym. We were walking to the gym in Wood Green.
yeah,
About 5 people, or maybe more than 5 people, they all stared at us. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? And I found as well that the people that were staring were older people. They were like in their 50s or 60s. I'm like,
God.
what are you guys staring at? Like, yeah, so we need to get people. That's why I'm wanting
Yeah,
to do this podcast so that people can be educated.
I
So,
want to try and get this into schools. That's what I want to be doing.
yeah, I mean, if you need any help with that, I don't mind helping you. But yeah, so
When the time allows, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So for anyone listening that is like listening to this podcast and they're like, I don't know how to explain to my child about cerebral palsy, what would you say to them?
Uh, well, on an educational point of view, this goes to everybody. If you see someone walking around who has a mobility problem of some sort, don't stop and stare at them, because it can be quite patronizing for the person, even if they think that you're not looking at them. It's better to educate your child that it's wrong to stare at people. And that people with a disability do have a purpose in life in this day and age.
Well, thank you very much for your interview, and hopefully people will listen to this and they'll be more aware of people with cerebral palsy and
Yeah.
mobility issues.
If you see someone asking, I'm going to use an example here. Traveling around, for example, we're going to traveling around. I'm used to the hustle and bustle of London, so we're looking at getting on and off a bus or a train of some sort. Not every disability is visible. There are priority seats on all public transport, whether it be a train, a bus, a tube, DLR services in London, whatever the services, public transport services are. There's always a priority seat, and people who have a disability are entitled to that seat. Always give that seat up if you don't need it and you see someone getting on who does. Or you can offer that person your seat if that priority seat is not available.
So in other words, you're saying,
Yes.
like you said, disability, the disabled people, we do matter. And we do make a contribution to this world.
Yeah.
And not to judge, just to get to know us, basically.
Get to know us, because we can make a positive change. Do not look at us in a weird, like, don't look at us like we can't do anything and think we should be locked away behind closed doors or whatever and lock away throw away the key. No, we're not. We're not like that. We're not scary people.
Well, thank you once again for your interview, Ben.
No problem. Welcome. You're welcome.